Hi guys, if you want to join along and make this pine cone with me, I kept a lot of the video intact. I filmed the entire process and I edited just a few parts of it. So feel free to join along. Also, I left the angle the way it was intentionally so that if you wanted to zoom in, you could. But also if you wanted to see the materials that I was using, it's easy to see the colors and get a basic idea. You know, you don't have to match my materials color by color. Use what you've got. You can create beautiful art with what you have. And I hope you join along. All right, let's go. Here I'm using a water-soluble crayon. These are called the Caran d'Ache Neo colors. And now I'm taking a damp brush and I'm spreading out the color. And for this kind of base layer, it's the lightest color, so you can just, if you wanted to cover the entire pine cone, you could, because you're going to cover it up with other colors. But I just want to establish a highlight color as my base color. And not using a ton of water and then letting it dry afterwards. So for the second layer, I'm using watercolor. My paper started off dry. Okay, I let it dry out. And I'm not using super wet watercolor. It's controlled. I'm using a small brush. And basically what I'm doing is I'm carving out or mapping out where the highlights are by using the darker colors. I switch between a mid-tone color and a shadow color just to make it easier for me to figure it out later on. To me, this is the hardest part of a piece because, this is probably where I make the most mistakes if I'm not paying attention and being careful. Now, sometimes you can, fix your mistakes and it's not the end of the world, but I kind of like that you can kind of figure out at this stage, and if you use a light enough color and you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world, and you don't have to start all over. But if you did have to start over, you're still in the early stages of your art, so you're not losing a lot of time into the piece, and it's a learning process. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. I mean, that's the one thing that I can say I'm good at. I am not looking for perfection. Everything is always a learning process. So that's my biggest advice that I can give you is just, go for it and play. And if it doesn't work out, you start all over again and you learn something. And that's what I tell myself. I'm intentionally keeping this part of the video in real time so that you can see the mapping out portion. Like I said earlier, this takes the longest time and for me is the most mentally draining because you have to pay attention to the detail when it's really not visible to my brain. And so I have to kind of translate it and try to figure out where the lights and the darks are. But take your time at this part, and I'm going to quit talking until we get to the next phase. Okay, I let that dry, and so now I'm able to use my alcohol markers, and I'm just going over with the darker colors because now I'm just trying to get the shadows deeper in color, and that'll help me figure out how to get the middle colors set right. And it's just a back and forth between the shadow, the darker colors, and the midtones. And the trick here when you're doing the midtones is I always like to have a variety of different colors and looks and try not to make things look like too much alike. So I try to do different variations of the color combinations because I think that's what makes it the most interesting and the most realistic when you do that. right, it's pencil time now, and I'm just going through the pine cone, and I'm going to make the lines, or the veins, if you will, on the little pine cone. What are those things? Petals? You know what I'm talking about, the individual sections. And it's a vertical, and when you're doing the lines, you want to kind of make it in the form of the petal. So if it's kind of like slanting down and out, that's how you're going to make your lines. And that's what's going to give it form and create the illusion that if it's curved, you're going to create the curve and make it a curve mark. And this is the fun part. This is the part that I love, because it's the details, and you really, your artwork is starting to have some form, and you know the direction you're going to go at this point. And again, varying the different colors of pencils that I use too. All right, at this point, I'm wrapping it up, and I'm adding, using a fine liner, the tiny, tiny details. It makes a difference. Thanks for spending time with me, and I hope you joined along. Anybody can really make art, truly. So until next time, life after 40 is good, and so are you. Take care.